across the board with Ian the Colonel here on hawkradio.org and acrosstheboardradio.com. Again, so many genres are thriving right now.
I can agree.
Rap and hip hop are not one of them, by the way. Neither is pop. But when you have things like Gangnam Style, but punk, pop punk, alt rock, metal, all of these things are out there right now. And one of the best bands coming up in sort of the punkish genre, I'd have to say, is for sure Gameday Regulars, and they've got a new album coming out on Veggie Co Records. We have Will, lead singer, with us right now. Will, welcome to the show.
Thank you so much. Awesome to be here.
Yeah, so, we love what we're hearing from you guys so far. The album actually doesn't release until January 8th of next year in 2013. The EP is called Nobody Likes a Quitter. And you guys are working with Brendan Rivera, who's a friend of the show, and Veggie Co Records.
Brendan, Erica, Jancho. They're just a small based New York, Connecticut-based label and stuff. Our old label, we were on Mightier Than Sword prior for our first release, and they are no more. So we had a, I don't know, they were on board to put out our next EP, and it's been great so far.
Yeah, talk about, I guess you guys know Brendan from, both from the Bronx area, Brooklyn area, coming up in New York and everything like that. But talk about what it's like to work with Veggie Co.
Oh, Veggie Co is great. I mean, we've always had a relationship with Brendan just because of, our old bands back in the day and playing shows and stuff. And Brendan plays every Friday night, and sometimes I play with him at a residency in
Nice.
Williamsburg called the Brooklyn Stables. So I got to meet Eric, and we originally had another label that was interested in putting it out, and they dropped off. And I was talking to Eric, and I was like, I really liked what he did with Brendan, because Brendan's like really making a name for himself in like the New York City metropolitan area. He's always, he's like really packing out venues now, and he's doing great stuff. And his like last record, like, it's like, I feel it's his best. It's like, he's
For sure.
everything he puts out is awesome. So I don't know. They were just like, they're really in tune with like they were really in tune. They liked the EP, and they wanted us. We like to tour, so they were like, yeah, we'll work. We have a record that's ready to go. So they were on board, and so it's kind of like a bro friendship.
Okay.
What do you think is the most challenging part of putting out an album? I mean, I know obviously getting the recording process is done, but also you have to take into all the other things that come into play, such as getting the word of mouth out about the album, getting any kind of promotion done. What is the hardest thing about an album?
Well, I'd say the hardest thing, I guess, would be like you got to play shows. That's like the biggest thing. So
Right.
you have to. That's like work in itself, and like going on, like staying consistent and stuff. And the hardest thing is like, everything you do when you're doing it yourself, it's even harder. But like the publicity that goes behind it, all the publicists cost a lot of money, and so it's like that's like the hardest thing. And the recording process has always been easy. We've always worked with engineers that we've been working with for like in different bands for like a long time. They've become friends with us. So I mean, the last EP we actually recorded just drums in one area, and then we did the rest of it in our old bass player's apartment.
Nice.
So it was a really easy process. So recording is like for us has been very easy just because we're really comfortable. Just we go in and bang it out and stuff. It's also like good to sound like in the studio the way we sound live.
Right.
It's like you get like what you hear on the record is what you get when you see us play live. Unless we drink a little too much. You know how that goes.
That's refreshing too.
Been there. Ian the Colonel here on Across the Board with Will from Gameday Regulars. And you can actually go to SoundCloud right now and check out a stream of some of the songs. So Kids of the Cove, Heavy Bikes, and The Whiskey Keeps Us Young are all out there right now. And something like The Whiskey Keeps Us Young, the title of that song and the sound of it almost remind me of another friend of the show, the Real Mackenzies. Do you guys know that?
Oh, I love the Real Mackenzies.
Right,
like,
yeah.
From Vancouver.
Yep.
Yeah.
They're I think Luke from Good Riddance is the drummer of that band now.
I didn't know that.
Possibly, I
that
think
might be
so.
right. Yeah,
Yeah, he's been playing. The drummer of Lifetime is the drummer of Good Riddance now, I think, because we're on tour right now to the fest. Good Riddance is on it,
Right.
which is awesome.
Yeah, another great band as well. Yeah, so many good bands out there. And our friends over at Fat Records and everything. So, but again, Nobody Likes a Quitter is the EP that's dropping in January. What can people expect from your live show? You said, that's how you make your money, and that's what you guys have to do. But, if I had the choice between coming to see you and, I don't know, some other unnamed band, why should I come see you?
Because we have a really good time when we play, and we've been very fortunate, especially on this tour at All Eyes West and the other tours we've been on. All the bands are just bros.
Nice.
So you're gonna go. You're gonna have a good time. Everybody's singing along, and everyone's having a good jumping around, going crazy. You know, we give it our all. You know, we're all sweaty and stuff, and then at the end of that, we're all drinking. Right now, we're drinking Natty Bows. So we're all having a couple of beverages with everybody and having a good time.
Natty Bows, because
you're
in the Baltimore area right now. Yeah, good call.
We're in Baltimore.
Natty Bows.
We have the day off today.
Natty Bows and sweating on stage sounds good. I'm there.
Yeah.
Sign me up. When you're on stage, how does that energy transfer out to the crowd? What do you do to prepare yourself mentally and physically to get yourself ready for the energy a show brings?
We have like a system, like, you know, live. We play to a quick track live, so
Okay.
it's kind of. But at the same time, it's like, I don't know, just one right after the other. You know, try not to talk too much. Just like, you know, in and out. You know, kind of like a minor threat record. You know, that's
Nice.
kind of like the way that's just the way I'd like to put it. You know, but it's like I said, we love doing this. You know, you and I both, you know, like bands like it's not in this for the money. There's no money in punk rock unless you're huge. So it's like.
Right.
We love doing it, and it's a really good time playing it. I was talking to our new bass player, John, and he was saying, yeah, dude, I just love playing music, so we just have like a blast doing it, you know? It's awesome to meet new people along the way.
And that's why you guys are good at it, because you're doing it for the right reasons. There are a lot of bands, punk or any genre, that are in it just for the money or for the fame or for the power or whatever, and most of what they crank out is crap these days. So you guys are putting out good stuff because you love it.
Yeah, and it's awesome, man. Like, you know, it's like, and we're older than a lot of like the younger bands, but like at the same time, it's like, I guess like the market now is like people are just like refreshed to hear like, oh, that band sounds like the Bouncing Souls, so I'm gonna go to a show, and like, you know, people are buying our merch because like they're older and like they can afford to,
Right.
and, you know, they buy us drinks, and like, you know, it's like, and so it's cool, and people are like, you know, it's like, oh, that's cool, they sound like the Bouncing Souls. I remember like growing up, I saw the Bouncing Souls when I was like 16, you know, and like, so it's like, it's cool that all these, like, that's what the fest is great. It's like, you know, it's just like a complete DIY, but like it's not a major, it's gotten so big now, and it's like, you're going to go there and you're going to see like 300 like hardworking, awesome bands from the main stage to the smaller venues, you know?
Absolutely. Yeah, that's a good point, man. Punk really is still like a blue collar feel, and everybody's
Absolutely.
just working hard out there. Now, talk to me about, though, take a band like Green Day. Let's talk about Green Day specifically. Our feeling is kind of on this show that they used to be punk, and now they're pop, but now they try to not be. You know, the whole thing with I'm Not Justin Bieber and all that kind of stuff. And their sound has changed. Some people would say they've evolved with music, and, you know, they're not they haven't sold out. They're not, you know, I don't know. I don't really think they're punk anymore. What do you guys think from inside the industry, from being a punk band?
I'll be honest with you, Green Day is the reason that, like, Green Day is the reason that I play music and turn me on to my favorite band in the world, which is Jawbreaker. Green Day and, like, all those, like, 15 and Crimshine and like, all those awesome Sam I Am, like, those bands.
Yeah.
Like,
Sam I Am, hell
that's
yeah.
the Berkeley. That's the sound, you know? And
Yeah.
that's, like, the Renaissance. And Green Day, like, I'll be honest with you, man, I'm glad I haven't heard the last couple of after American Idiot, I really haven't heard it, but, like,
Right.
I love like Dookie and the older records and
Agreed.
stuff. They're fun, you know, and it's like, you know, Billy Joe, like, granted, I guess he had a moment or whatever, but, you know, that's cool, you know. It's like, it is what it is, you know. People, you know, sometimes you have a bad day, you know.
Yeah, no,
That's how it goes.
You got to have bad days, yeah, for sure. And that's the thing. I just think if you did it 10 years ago, it would have been like punk. Now it seems sort of like a meltdown.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's.
I
Yeah.
mean, I feel like back in the day, like in like the '90s, when like Green Day broke, and like, you know, and then the Offspring and Rancid
Yeah,
and
yeah.
stuff like that. That just like that like really paved the way for like a lot of stuff. Because, but like, you know what I'm saying, Green Day's doing arena tours, but they're taking out like the Mr. T Experience or like the Riverdales.
Yeah.
And like all these, like, they're taking out their friends' bands. That's what it's about. It's
That's
like,
true.
It's what's awesome about this community. It's not about numbers. It's like, all right, we're big, but let's take our friends and have a good time for the next 2 months.
Mm-hmm. See, that's why I like to get people's thoughts on it. Yeah.
What do you think in terms of what is really holding back rock music nowadays? There seems to be a perception that rock music's being held back by something, whether it's the power of pop music or the power of hip hop right now. What do you feel is holding rock and roll back?
To be quite honest with you, I mean, I really am kind of out of the loop with a lot of like some of the mainstream stuff. I mean, I really like that band Mumford and Sons. You know,
Okay,
I think
yeah,
they're
right.
pretty cool. And, awesome, like, bands that, like, we've come across over the years from playing shows with different bands, like bands like the Gaslight Anthem, who are on, like, they're mainstream, but they're right. Bands like that are, like, really refreshing, and they're, like, coming out, and people are getting to hear them. And, like, in terms of hip-hop, I don't really know much about hip-hop, but I really think, like, that it's awesome that, like, a lot of, like, throwback stuff's coming back. Even, like, we're not, like, a pop-punk band, but it's awesome to hear, like, kids today playing, like music that sounds like, old Saves the Day and Lifetime,
Yeah.
or like the movie Life and stuff like that. So,
Yeah, that's true.
And there's like, there's just stuff that, people like and people don't like,
Yeah, and it's great that you guys are. I think you're going to be around for a while because, like I said, you're doing it for the right reasons. And one of those bands like
that's
Strung
really
Out or
old,
something that's been around forever.
I always feel like the worst thing I ever hear from like a lot of these bands are like, well, if nothing's popping off in the next year or two, the best advice was ever told by like our agent in Canada was like, time frames are stupid, they don't exist, they just create failure. So, and it's like you hear all these bands like, if I'm not like doing this and whatever, it's not really worth it. And I'm like, I don't know, you kind of should just like went to law school or something.
Right. Yeah, I have heard bands say that recently, even. So that's a good point. But I guess you got to pay your bills. You got to pay your bills. So
all these awesome bands, like that everyone's, even the bigger punk bands, no one's in a bus. They're still in bands. It's like you got to be like really used to being in a bus sometimes. It's like you're gonna have to load your equipment on stage, and that's the work that goes into like you said, a blue collar music genre.
Yeah. Will, if you could only hear one song left in your life, you only had time to listen to one more song, what would it be? You can hear it or you can perform it. Yours or anybody else's. Last song that you would hear.
It's actually funny you mentioned that, but one last song, I guess I would have to say, it's growing up in like the Bronx and stuff, like Sleepwalk by Santo and Johnny.
Okay.
I guess it's like an instrumental that's like pedal steel, and I guess another one would be by the Drive-By Truckers, Birthday Boy.
Drive-By Truckers, nice. Now, why'd you say it's funny that we mentioned that? Were you just talking about that, or?
No, me and my friends like talk about it. It's like, what's your funeral song gonna be?
Now, see, that's different.
And it's always like,
that's different. What's your funeral song? And that's the last song you would hear. Yeah, because a funeral song is going to represent who you were.
Right.
That's a good question too, though. Yeah.
I can see that.
Yeah, so
interesting one. Nice.
I mean, so Santos and Johnny. I mean, I just remember hearing that, like, and those guys are from the Bronx where we live, so it's like, hearing that in like La Bamba when I was a kid, and I was like, wow, this is like amazing. Just like, it's just like there's no words, but it just like spoke to me.
Right. Yeah, it's something you remember where you were at that time. That's cool. Well, again, Nobody Likes a Quitter is coming out on Veggie Co Records January 8th of next year, so definitely stay tuned to these guys. Game Day Regulars. Again, Will, we appreciate it. I'm E. He's the Colonel. Be back here in a few minutes on Across the Board on hawkradio.org.
And acrosstheboardradio.com.